Hi everyone, this is Audrey from the Creator's Attic. I'm here today to show you a simple yet lovely way to use up some of your fabric scraps and your bits and bops and just be very creative and do a flat page but still have texture. So this is one of my old journals and I'll show you kind of the prototype but this thing was quite huge when I got through with it. But what these do is these are little flaps that open up for writing space. They're covered with fabric that I have coffee dyed, and I've cut around the edges with some scalloped scissors to give it a little bit of roughness, and just put some little adornments down here and just to liven them up. And what they do is they open up like this and they have writing room in them. So basically let's make some of these. If you want to make some of these with me and you want to see how I do it from the bottom up, let's create a journal page and let's get started. Okay, so what I am going to start with is just really start from the ground up, so to speak. I'm going to just I've taken some of these extra scraps that I had, and I really want to do like a purple theme today. Purple's my favorite color, by the way. But these have already been coffee dyed, but I was going to do one on camera for you so you could see how the process goes. So I'm going to do this in my new journal too, the one that I'm working in. So we'll do a whole page together. So if you want to stick around and watch me do a whole page with texture, but yet making it a flatter page so it doesn't take, it isn't super bulky in your journal, let's go along for the ride. Okay, so I've chosen this piece of fabric and it's just a little scrap. And we're going to also need these little index cards, and I only could find at Dollar Tree these ones with the lines on them, and these are the 3x5s, and they're very thin, but they are heavier than regular paper, 20-pound copy paper. That's just too flimsy to really do this with, but these are thin enough to where you can work with them and they'll still be flat and they'll still do what you want them to do. So, okay, so first of all, I just have laid out what do you call these cloths? So like a flour sack cloth, and I'm just going to take my spray, which is pretty concentrated, coffee dyed spray, and I'm just going to mist over my fabric, and that was super fast, right? So I have it, and the thing about misting it is it doesn't take very long to dry. So I'm going to just move this out of the way, and if you want to hit this with a heat gun to make it dry a little faster, that's fine. But I'm going to move this out of the way now, and we're going to go ahead and move into the index cards. So these have lines on them, but there is a way around that. Sometimes your fabric will be dark enough to cover up the lines, so you don't have to worry about seeing the lines through them. But if for some reason they don't, and you can see the lines through them and you don't want to see the lines, you can put like an ink, like this one I inked it, so it kind of draws the eye away from the line. So I mean, you don't see lines through here. Okay, so all right, so first of all, we're going to start with index cards, and I'm going to do 3 flaps, but I want this part to be outside, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take them and I'm going to just meet the corners here. So I'll have, okay, meet the corners, and then I'm just going to flatten these down with my bone folder. You can flatten them down with the edge of some scissors or with your fingernail or whatever you want. But here, it's already laying pretty flat, so we'll have these in the journal like that. Okay, so I'm going to do another one. So I'm going to take lines on the outside because I'm going to cover that with cloth. And go ahead and put this one down. And then I'm going to do my last one. Down like this. And then we're going to go ahead and start with how we're going to do the cloth. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece of cloth and I'm going to flip it to the side that I don't want showing on the outside. And we're going to take this and I'm just going to take it to up to the edge a little bit because I want to cut around here with some scissors. So what I'm going to do is move this out of the way, grab something like this. I'm going to grab my trusty Scotch Create Glue Stick Multi-Purpose Permanent. It adheres fabric to paper, so I'm going to just go over this front here and make sure I get around the edges and in the middle really well. And then I'm going to take my piece of paper. Let's see, I don't want to get I don't want to glue it to that, so I'm going to use this mat here. Okay, it's my magazine glue mat. These come in the mail, these junk mail. If you want to throw them away, they're just magazines. Instead of tossing them in the trash, I use them as glue mats. So I'm going to take this side with the glue, and I'm going to make sure I don't have any strings here. And I'm going to place it just a little bit from the top and a little bit in the middle like this. It doesn't have to be exactly in the middle. And then I'm going to just kind of make sure that it is smooth in the front. Oh, and I can see those lines through here. So let me switch to that one that I had here. Okay. Let me put some glue down. Okay. So I thought you couldn't see the lines, but then I got to looking in the light and I could see the lines. So we're going to do the one that we dyed. So go back and flip it over and like we did, we want a little bit of room around the edges because I do want to cut that with some scissors. You could fray it if you wanted to for a really rustic look, but this, I just want to put it a little bit rustier look in my journal, but I still want to keep that, I still want to do some of my scalloped or pinking sheared like edges. Okay, so I have it down. It's smooth in the front. So I'm going to leave this one and I'm going to, so right now this is what we have. I'm going to let it dry. Okay, open it up and just let it dry. And we're going to do the other one. So let me make sure the lines don't show through this one. Okay, I can kind of see them through here, so I'm just going to do the same thing I did before. Oh, this is gluey. Okay, moving on. I'm just going to take my little brush and I'm going to take my gathered twigs. Before I think I'd used a purple ink, but just knock it. I'm just going to try to take away from these lines somewhat. I'm using gathered twigs distress ink, if I didn't just say that. And I'm just going to kind of put a darker color behind here so that white doesn't act as something about the white kind of brings out the lines a little bit, but you can cover them like this. Let's see if this did the job. Okay. Yeah, okay, that works. So I'm gonna take this and put it over, get a fresh page, and then we're going to do the same thing. Once again, we're going to take the piece of fabric. I'm going to glue down. This one's already folded, remember, and we're going to just go all around the edges really well. And then I'm going to move this out of the way. Make sure I'm on a fresh page so I don't come back and stick something down on it and then it gets glue on it. Okay, so then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put the wrong side up because I'm going to be gluing that to this part. Do the same thing, leaving room around the edges. And then lay this down. And lay down. And then this fabric's kind of forgiving. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to be super, the flowers don't have to be super straight, you know, like it would be if you had like a plaid or something where you had to line the edges up to make it look neat. These are kind of just, these flowers really don't have a direction, so that's kind of a helpful thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and do these, and maybe my piece of fabric will be dry. It wasn't super wet because I misted it with the coffee dye. So let's go ahead and move on to the next part where we will take out our scissors. And I believe I'm going to use, you know, you can get lots of these little cheap scissors like this that you can get a bucket of them or whatever. You can find them in the thrift store. But I found that they don't cut the fabric as well as some more quality scissors. So I'm going to use, I believe, I thought these were Fiskars, but these are, maybe they're not, but they're still quality scissors. And I'm going to, I think I'm going to use I'm not sure what I used in the other one, but I think I'm going to use the pinking shears in this one. And I'm just going to take the one, maybe it's a little bit more dry, and I'm going to flip it over like this so I can see what I have. And then I'm just going to, make sure, let's see. I want to make sure the direction is going, let's see. Let me kind of do a little bit of a, see which direction. I always want to make sure I'm going in the direction that I want. Okay, the top is not really that important, but okay, and it's okay to have a little overhang if you do, but I'm just going to cut it right up close to the card without cutting the card. And I'm just going to cut around the edges of the card. You don't have to use pinking shears like this, but it adds just a little bit of a neat look while still doing the ragged look. So let's do around these. And see, this is why I had the extra cloth, so I would have a little bit hanging over. So don't cut the card. Okay, here we go. All right, so we have this one. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to do the other one, cutting around the edges. Trying not to cut the card. Because what I'm going to do is we're going to be adhering the backs of these index cards to our journal pages, and then we'll go from there. So that's going to be our next step to start adhering these babies, but I want to do a little bit of something to my page. Get a little bit neater there. Ooh, what was I thinking there? There we go. Okay, so we have these two at the moment, and the pinking shears should keep these from fraying as much around the edges. This just wants to hang on. Okay, all right. Oh, it's not quite how I wanted it to look, but that is an interesting look. Okay. Wow. Okay, I'm not quite sure I like that. Maybe I'm going to cut a little bit closer to the edges, just since I made the blooper there, just so the whole thing has a little bit more of that look. Let's try it. Yeah, I'm going to leave that edge like this. I'm going to do this one along the edges. And I'm just kind of going where I didn't go with the pinking shears. So Okay, this is an interesting look. It's even a little bit more of a rugged look. But I do want it to somewhat be the same. Okay, there we go. Oh, I like that edge though. That's still really, really, really cool. I'm not worried about the top. Okay, so let's do this other one like that too. See, that's the thing. If you make a mistake, you can always go back and fix it. Sometimes you just want to leave the mistakes because trying to fix it will get you in a, will make it worse. How many of you have done something, made a blooper and tried to cover it up and it made the whole thing just worse? Or you ended up just throwing it out. I mean, I've done that so many times. So sometimes you have to pick your battles and decide when it's time just to leave it or when you can do a quick fix like this. So there we go, quick fix on those. I'm gonna take these larger fabric pieces and set them aside because I like to glue them onto index cards, or you can use them in little clusters or things, but I like to do a patchwork onto like an index card or to a surface. There's so much you can do with these, like little collages, like you do with scraps of paper. Okay, so we have this, and I'm going to check on this to see if it has dried, and it is somewhat dry that fast. Let's see, how far are we in the video? A little more than 15 minutes. And it's already about dry. So we'll come back to it. I love the way it smells like coffee. We'll come back to it. We'll give it a little bit more time. And this flour sack kind of absorbs the moisture as well. If it's not completely dry when I come back, I'm just going to hit it with my heat gun very quickly. So put the cap back on the glue. I'm about to take the cap back off. I'm going to grab my new journal. A journal that I'm currently working in, and I'm going to use this page. Now, if you think about it, and if you think about where you're going to put your flaps, I'm going to do them a little off-centered instead of in the center of the page this time. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that the edges of each one of these flips is a little bit, is kind of covering over this just a little bitty bit, because that way it'll be like a fluid looking flip. Okay, so you can color, I might color these with a little bit of ink before I go, and that one is already sticking together. It's kind of why I said to dry them open like this so they don't stick together. Just when it stick together, I didn't follow protocol on that one. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of my soda. I'm feeling about 98% now now that I've gotten over my, excuse me, say that and I start coughing all in the camera. No, I feel so much better from having COVID. It's amazing how it just came with a vengeance and then left. But okay, so I do want to do something to the side of this page to add a little interest, and I have this little stencil that I got at the Dollar Tree. You can find some really cool little things at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to lay it down. I want to do it quite on the edge. I want to be able to see my edge, so I'm going to lay down this piece of scrap paper, and plus this keeps this kind of gives you, I can see the edge because of the contrast of the white, because I want to make sure that I'm laying this down on the edge of the paper so that the stencil will be straight, and I can double check to see if I've done this. And I'm going to do a little bit of overhang because I'm going to have to come down here. My stencil doesn't quite reach all the way down here. So if I'm going to do a little bit of an overhang look in order to fit this, I'm going to have to take this off and fix it. And so in order to keep from having that overhang, I'm just going to or I have a little overhang, so it looks normal down here to have a little bit of overhang because this stencil doesn't quite reach down. I got this Dollar Tree stencil, and they are adhesive on the back, but they don't pull up. They don't pull, like, rip the paper or anything, but I have stuck it down and pulled it up so many times that it's a little bit, what you say, a little bit, it's coming up in some places, so I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to take a smaller one of these brushes. If you don't have these brushes, I would suggest getting some of these. These are fantastic to have laying around. They come in, like I say, different sizes. And since I'm going to be doing my stencil, I'm going to do it a little bit more precisely. I may be doing some different colors. We'll just see as we go. Sometimes these things just unfold, and it's just interesting the way they do. So I'm going to take some Victorian Velvet. This is one of my favorite colors in the line of Distress inks, and I'm going to go in the flower part. I'm just going to go like this, and I really like that these stencils are adhesive somewhat because they stay more in place. So these are great. And then, you know, if you want to get rid of them and just buy a new one, it's only $1, so it works. You know, I'm going to do all of these flowers first of all, and I'm not doing the leaves yet because I think I may go back in with a green and do my leaves. So I'm basically just doing the little works. Now I'll tell you while I'm doing this that these little, like 1 inch by 1 inch little distress inks are great if you want to get a bunch of colors, and they come in a 4-pack. You can order them separately online. Sometimes they'll come separately, but they originally come 4 to a pack. And what you do is, if you're not going to really use, you don't really use a lot of these colors a lot. Like I do use Victorian Velvet, but to start with, I went ahead and bought just the little small ones, and then as I found which inks I migrated towards and used more of, then I moved up and got the larger pads like this. I use a lot of gathered twigs, but for these purposes of just doing a little bit of color in, instead of just going all out and buying, you know, let's say something like spiced marmalade, this orange, you know, it's very pretty, but you don't use it a lot. I don't use it a lot, so I just didn't invest in a bigger one, and then that way they take up less storage space, etc., etc. So it's just a little thing about what I do, and I'm taking a little bit longer. I'll speed it up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to move this one aside because I'm going to come in with the green. Let's see. I'm kind of doing this sort of with a little bit lighter colors because I really don't want this to be overwhelming, but I just want a little something along the side to knock off this side of the page to have some interest over here. Let's see, I have another one of those brushes. So I'm just going to take this green, and hopefully this will be dark enough. If not, you can start off with the lighter colors, and then if you decide that you don't like that color, it's not dark enough, you can go back over it with a darker color. But I'm going to check out this green and see what I think. I love it. Okay, I just really like that. It didn't overpower my rustic look. Okay, let me see which one I had my green. Which one was purple? Which one was green? Okay, I'm just going to go for it. Okay, this is not super precise. You don't have to make these. If a little bit gets in the purple, it just adds to the little bit of the vintage look. Okay, so here are my leaves, and going down here and doing the bottom one, and doing the leaves, la da da. The leaves and the stem. stencils are awesome. I love them. And you can go online and go on eBay and do as lowest priced first, and then they'll come up for super cheap. Usually you have to wait for them to come over from overseas or whatever, but if you have, if you're not super impatient, then it will work out really well if you have a month to wait, and they're super cheap. Also, you can go on AliExpress and find the same thing. Okay, this has turned out absolutely beautiful, I think, and I just want to go in and I'm just going to add one more flower to the bottom. And since I had a little bit of overhang up here, I can have a little bit of overhang down here. So let's see. And when I say overhang, I mean it hanging off the bottom. So I purposefully did that look. And if you're not sure if you line the stencil up with the page, these adhesive stencils allow for you to also, let me make sure that kind of goes up and in line. Okay. If you want to make sure it's even with the page, you can always flip the page over and see if the stencil's hanging over. If you're like super perfectionistically perfectionist. Okay, that's a mouthful. Okay, so like this, it's just like, whoop, you want to go over? Okay, I don't see any overhang in here. I don't see any overhang in here. So there we go. Okay, back to my, okay, that was the green one. Okay, go back to the purple. Just gonna go over this. And sometimes these little square ones will dry out a little bit on you, and if they do, you could just spritz them with a little bit of water, and sometimes it'll liven them up, and you don't have to put you don't have to put re-inker on them. And if you don't use them a whole lot and you keep them covered up and you don't leave them exposed a lot in the air, to the air, then you go ahead and put the cap on like this, put it aside, and then that way they don't dry out as quickly. And you don't always need the re-inker when you think you need a re-inker. The re-inkers are great. I have some for my more used colors, but you don't necessarily have to have the re-inkers for colors. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money on that. Okay, I'm going to wipe my stencil off when I'm through with my video, but I have my last of my stencil here. Take it off. See how pretty that is? Just adds a little bit of color just by a little bit of ink. It doesn't cost hardly anything. I mean, there we go. There we have it. And I'll wipe my brushes down later as well, just for the sake of getting through this video. So we are about half an hour in, so I'm going to head and lay these down. I want to do 3, remember, so need to make sure that I'm going to go ahead and fold over another index card, so I will make sure that I have room when I'm putting them on here. Check the corners. Are they matched? Is there any overhang? A little bit. Okay. I'm just going to do that with my nail. So you can do it this way too, without the bone folder. Okay, so I'm going to kind of lay them down before I commit and put the glue. Okay, and this is about like I want it in the page. So I'm still letting this other one dry. So I'm going to keep this one here, kind of here. Actually, I'm going to use this one as a placeholder so I don't forget where I want to lay this one. And I'm going to come to the back, and I'm going to just use this sheet. I'm going to take this glue stick and I'm going to glue on. I'm going to put this part up here so I'm not getting glue all over that, and I'm just going to go along the edges of the other side of this card that we'll be placing downwards. So kind of got my little spot here, so we're going to do it like this, and I can open it up and make sure it's aligned like I want it. You have a minute with this glue stick to kind of move it over. If you want to get a ruler out and check the preciseness, that's fine, but I'm just going to eyeball this one. So we're going to come back and do a few things to the top, but I'm going to let this one dry open because I'm going to, next thing I want to do is put the glue on this one. So remember to leave this part at the top so you don't, because you don't want it to get glue on it. If you glue with the flap closed, what I'm saying is sometimes it can ooze over and then cause this to stick to your card, so it's better just to do it this way. Okay, and around the edges in the center, and then I'm going to pull this up, and then I'm going to lay, you already have it, your alignment somewhat, so I'm just going to lay the very edge of the card over the very edge of this card, and put it down, pull it up and let it dry. Okay, those are pretty lined up. I think it's pretty straight. It's pretty straight. All right, and then I have my last one. So, ooh, it's already dry now. And I will tell you, I would not close my journal page at the end or until this dries. So I'm not sure about if you can see the lines through this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and quickly do the gathered twigs on this one as well. And I can just quickly go over that. These add a lighter ink application and they spread more instead of trying to go along with your daubers and do all this. And then you get all the circle marks from the edges of the daubers. This just gives an even flow. Okay, I don't have any glue on here, so I'm going to go ahead and use this as my gluey. Okay, lay this down and okay, lay this down like I want it. Okay, first of all, I have to put glue on it. That might help. Okay, and we're gonna go around. These glue sticks are fabulous. I love them. You can order them in a 4-pack from Amazon, and they turn out to be about $3 and some change a piece. But they're just wonderful because you don't have a lot of bleed through on your pages, and it doesn't. Fabrifix will seep through your fabric, and it will make it. Sometimes it'll seep through thin little muslin, I think cotton or whatever it's called. You want to call these little fabric squares. It'll seep through, and then it'll make it look. You'll have like you can see the glue through it. It's a little bit harder to make it as smooth. So where are my scissors? Okay, here they are. So I'm going to, and remember I'm going to do that. Okay, which way is, okay, there we go. I'm going to just trim off the edges here. Here. And around here. And finally the bottom. And remember I was doing that, I want to keep that I had the mishap along the side, so I'm going to go back and just kind of do between those and give it that little bit finer jagged edge. So they'll all be hopefully look all the same. Okay, I have this. I'm going to be moving that out of the way and open this up, and we're going to repeat again. Put our glue. We are almost through with this page. I'm going to add a little bit of embellishments to these little flaps. So let's see. Okay, going to move this out of the way again. Move my journal over here. And I'm going to lay this one over a little bit. Open it up so I can see the alignment. Lay it over the edge. Just a little bit, try to make sure I have it straight. Okay, I'm going to close these really quickly to see how they look. Okay, so you see how I have it. Now, I want to add a little bit more personality, and these, remember I did say I wanted to leave these up when I dried, but I'm going to have to push them down for some purpose here. I want to take some, to just dress it up a little bit, I'm going to take some off-white lace trim here, and I think I'm going to use the Fabrifix for this, but I'm going to try to make it not bleed through by kind of spreading it around with my finger. But I'm just going to, and you only have to do this on one of the tops of the cards because Fabrifix is clogged. Okay, hang on, let me unclog this Fabrifix. Okay, have a little bit, and I'm just gonna kind of quickly put some down, but then I'm gonna just spread it around with my finger just because I don't want it to try to keep it from bleeding through my lace. If you use the crochet type lace, it's a little bit thicker, so it may not be quite as much of a bleed through on that. But to go to the edge and see, I have it like that. And let me grab my fabric scissors. Any scissors, actually, this fabric scissors will do. I'm gonna open this up and just cut this off. Try to cut this off at the edge. Well, I may not be opening it up too much yet. It's still kind of drying. Okay, there we go. We have that. Now repeat on, I don't have to repeat on any of these, but if you wanted to do a little bit more to the bottom of these, you could add some to the bottoms. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to put a little bit along the bottom, a little bit of Fabrifix, smear it in here. And I'm going to make my lace, this scallop part, face up on this one. Just, and I still am leaving a little bit of that jagged edge hanging out a little bit on the bottom, just so I don't mess up I can kind of keep my look. And I may need a little bit more Fabrifix here. I would rather start off with a little bit of Fabrifix and not have too much than have way too much and just get it all over everywhere. So I'm gonna, let's see, trim this off at the edge here. I'm still kind of thinking about whether or not it wants to stick. I'm gonna make sure these still want to stay a little sticky, so I'm gonna flip that one up, flip that one up, flip that one up. Okay, do the same thing to the bottom of this, and hang in there because we're not quite through, or we're not quite through with our page, but we're getting close, But this scallop's facing upwards. I have a lot of trim like this in my store. If you go to my Etsy store, it's the same as the channel name. It's the Creator's Attic, and there should be a link in this on my channel to my Etsy store. If you don't see the link, you can ask me in the comments and I can put it in there again for you. But I have a trim sampler, and I put all kinds of beautiful lace like this. And sometimes you don't need huge pieces, long pieces of lace. You can just have these little cut-off pieces, and they work, and you'd be surprised how often that you just need just a little bit of trim. But I have them in my store, and they're quite popular. So if you need some lace and trim, I have a variety, or you can just order the flat lace. So check it out if you want some lace. Okay, so anyway, go ahead and do this one. And I mean, this page just came together so fast, and there's so much going on the page without it being too busy, in my eyes anyway. All right, so we have these. Now, doesn't that look cool? Okay, I want to do one more thing to kind of show that these open up. So the last thing I'm going to do to this page is these also came from the Dollar Tree, these little stickers. And you get 260 of these babies for $1. So Dollar Tree is really stepping up their crafting supplies. It's really neat. They're catering more towards the paper crafters and those that like to do wreaths, scrapbookers. They are really stepping up their game. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and decide where I want to put this. These are self-adhesive, but I don't trust the adhesive, especially on the fabric, enough to say that they'll be durable. But these little things just kind of indicate that there is something to lift up. Stuck to my finger. Okay, I'm going to see where I want it. Do I want it on the lace? Do I want it? Ooh. I don't want it too high, so. And I'm trying to work hurriedly because this glue does want to stick, and I don't want it to stick too much. Okay, so actually I think that there was enough of the Fabrifix left on here to where that one's going to stick, and I just kind of have it in the center here. And if it comes off, you can go back and hit it with some Fabrifix. Okay, I have another one. Just happen to have these purple ones. They come in all different colors. I've seen green, red, dark blue, light blue, like a pearl. I think they have like the brownish pearl color. Okay, I want to make sure these line up. Okay, lift up. And oh goodness, there's more. It just goes on. But anyway, they have a myriad of colors. Okay, finally center this. Nope, that one didn't have enough Fabrifix on it to stick, so I'm just going to put a little bit down in the center where I want it. Just a dab. These spider webs on here. It reminds me of getting in a web of a spider sometimes with this Fabrifix. It just wants to spider web out. Where did you go? I know I just put glue there. Okay, there we go. Okay, see if these are somewhat straight like I want them. And this guy did not want to stick. Oh, I see what happened. Okay. The little stickery back that was on here ate up the... And I just do what I normally don't do, is put it on the back and then put it down, because then you get glue on the front. But, oh well. Oh, go. And you stay. You behave and stay. Okay. So, you can do a few other things to these if you want. You can... Okay. Do a few other things to these if you want. If you want to add some interest to the inside, if you want to color these up with your brush before you have them on here so they're not just like a stark white, that's fine. I think I have some little, I want to do some a prompt on these. And this is the last thing we'll be doing. I have these little word stamps. You can take words out from books or whatever. I have a little bit of glue here, but here you can just kind of do like this and rub it off. Okay, I have joyful, celebrate, and thankful. I think I got these at Hobby Lobby, or I may have gotten them at Michael's in the... Oh, I think I got them at Michael's in the grab bin for like $2.49. They were originally they were $9.99, so that was a score. Okay, and just to do a little bit of words, just to kind of dress this up, I believe I'm going to do my words in I think I'm gonna do these in brown. I don't want to just, everything has to be purple. Okay, so I'm gonna take this and just gonna put Celebrate down and try to get it in the center here. And just kind of give a little word prompt. Oh, that wasn't the best stamp. Okay, but there we go. Celebrate. And we're going to put thankful. Sometimes if you get ink along the edges, you can kind of come around here and wipe it off, which is exactly what happened on that last one. Put it down in the, aiming for the middle. And we are now thankful. And finally, we will be joyful down here. And you can decorate your page so many different ways. You can put washi along the edge if you don't want to stencil. But let's see. Be joyful here. I want to be joyful when I put this stamp down. So hope it's straight. There we go, joyful. So here we have it. And this you do want to, like I said, lay this down flat to dry. Now, I mean, these up to dry, but once you close the book, once they dry and you close the book on them, the weight of the book will make them lie down or lay down even more, okay? So this is what we have. We have this page and we have a finished page, and I'm going to bid thee farewell. Check out my Etsy store, The Creator's Attic. I would love to have you come over there and check out some of my ephemera kits, and I already told you about the lace and trim sampler. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already by hitting the little bell, down at the bottom next to the title, or somewhere thereabouts of this video. Hit it, and it'll subscribe you and make you have notifications when it comes, when I put a new video out, and which I'm trying to do at least 2 a week. So anyway, see if I can think of anything else that I'm forgetting to tell you. So, okay, I told you to subscribe, and you can turn the notifications off if you don't want to be notified every time when you go on YouTube that there's a video out. So you can turn off the notifications. But anyway, but if you subscribe, I would really appreciate subscribers. It lets me know, it actually makes me happy that people are learning something or at least joining in and crafting or doing whatever with me. So I really appreciate all of you who are already subscribers. Okay, so you've seen it here, folks, and I will talk with you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.